There are over 6,000 ski resorts in the world, and my goal is to ride as many of them as possible, then rate and review them for you so you can know whether or not they are worth making the trip and investment out to go check them out. So today, without further ado, I will be giving you my full review and ranking of Timberline Mountain Resort in West Virginia. Hello, my name is Chris, and I have been snowboarding for over 20 years. I have done different very little, snowboarding competitions, and I also used to be a snowboard instructor. I have ridden everything from West Coast powder days to East Coast ice, and today I will be giving you my full breakdown of Timberline Mountain Resort so you can know whether it's worth making the trip. Before I give you my rating on where this falls between the F and S tier, and I do it both for just overall every resort across the world, F to S, and then I also do it for where it is geographically located, which this one would fall into the Mid-Atlantic region. Just a quick history lesson on Timberline. This resort is one I grew up riding at. I used to go here all the time in college with my buddies, not necessarily because it was the best mountain, but it was so affordable. It was only $25 for a lift ticket if you had a student ID, and this resort was insanely laid back. The staff legitimately would be hotboxing the chairlift hut. It was almost too laid back. Like, it was funny. You'd go up there with your lift ticket and they'd be like, yeah, why'd you even buy a lift ticket? Like, we don't check. And so anyways, needless to say, unsurprisingly, given how poorly run it was, it fell on hard times. They got in trouble for tax evasion, poor management. They wouldn't blow snow. I remember one season we booked a cabin up there to go ride, and instead of riding at the slopes, we hiked up the mountain because there was not a snowflake in sight. And then really the nail in the coffin for the resort is that one of their chairlifts actually collapsed and fell down.
A lift malfunction at an area ski resort leads to 2 people being sent to the hospital. Nick Farrell was there, and he has this report.
Timberline officials say around 9 a.m. Saturday morning, this ski lift called Thunderstruck malfunctioned with about 200 people on board.
Thankfully, I don't believe anyone was killed in the accident, but there were people that were injured. And so after that fiasco, the resort closed and went up for auction. A group called, I have it over here, Perfect North Slopes Inc. It's a group of investors that had other resorts, I believe, out in like Indiana, ended up acquiring the resort. They fully revamped it, and so last season was the first time I was able to go back and ride at this resort since it reopened. And I've got to say, I was very impressed at the new quality of management at the resort. Definitely night and day. There's definitely there is some charm to a mountain that is insanely laid back like it used to be. However, it's also no surprise that most of the resorts that are run that poorly don't last long. Besides running it properly to where you need to actually purchase a lift ticket, they put in a new chairlift that's way quicker to get you up to the top of the mountain. Back in the day, it would take 20 or 30 minutes to make it up this tiny mountain. Now it goes up in less than 5 minutes. There was something nice about going down the mountain and then having a nice long chairlift to get your legs back underneath you. My legs were burning the first time there because you go up the mountain quick and down the mountain quick. So my legs were burning with that new lift in. But they redid the lift, they redid the lodge, they redid the food court. The whole place looks night and day different. It's so much more built up. We did our annual ski trip there at the end of the season on their closing day, where they put out like I guess it's like a pool where you do the pool skims. I was the first snowboarder to make it across the pool skim. I felt really cool. I like ripped across the pool skim. You know, everybody was cheering for me. And then I think the very next person to go was like some 5-year-old girl, and she made it across. So then my confidence level just plummeted. Anyways, it was, once again, very well maintained and ran since this new investment group went in. So kudos to them. Now, as far as mountain stats go for this resort, the elevation at Timberline Mountain Resort is 4,268 feet. They have 2 lifts and a magic carpet for the bunny slope, so technically 3 lifts. They have 37 runs and 100 skiable acres. Now let's talk about if it's worth taking a trip out there and checking it out for yourself. So The kind of good but also bad part about this resort is that it is not part of one of the three main passes, the Indy, the Icon, or the Epic Pass. So if you want to ride there, you have to either buy a day pass or get a season pass. A season pass costs $649, almost the price of, or actually I think is about the same price if you buy it early enough, getting an Icon, an Epic, or an Indy Pass. Spending $650 on a season pass is quite outrageous unless you had a house right there in the town of Davis or on the slopes at Timberline. Otherwise, that is a steep price point. However, it's also kind of expensive to get a day lift ticket for a smaller resort. Right now, they're advertising $104 for a day lift ticket. When I was there last year, I ended up buying a multi-day pass so that I could ride a few other times with my buddies, and I think I spent just shy of $300 for 3 days. So you get a little discount if you buy multiple days at once, but still a pretty expensive lift ticket for a small resort in West Virginia. However, the runs for a mid-Atlantic resort are pretty fun. The biggest benefit to Timberline is they have decent glade runs or tree runs. On the East Coast, especially in the Mid-Atlantic region, there's very few resorts, if any, that you can actually get good tree runs in. And I went to Timberline multiple times last season, and almost every day I was there, I was able to hit some sort of tree run. So if you're able to get there on a good powder day or after it's been cold for a few consecutive weeks, you can actually get pretty good tree runs, which I think is the highlight of Timberline. The other stuff is they have a little bit of everything. They have everything from the bunny slopes, green runs, blue runs, blacks, and double blacks. I'm doing air quotes here. And so you can really, no matter what skill level you are, you can go there and really get in a good day of riding. They have, I believe, the longest green run on the East Coast called Salamander, and it goes from the top of the mountain all the way to the bottom and just winds back and forth. So for anybody that's newer to riding, this is a really great feature you get to check out. And also, if you're there in a group and everybody's at different skill levels, it makes it easy for everybody to take the chair up together and then everybody be able to take whatever runs they feel comfortable in and then regroup at the bottom. So from a run selection, I think they have a pretty good variety. And even their terrain park, although it isn't the biggest and the best, it does have enough for anyone to be able to go and mess around at. They used to have a little like tow rope at the terrain park that you could just take up and down just so that you could do it quicker. I didn't see that any of the times I was there last season. I don't know if that's something they're going to be putting in the 25-26 season. Hopefully they do, just to make it a little bit quicker for you to be able to hit, because otherwise you'd have to take a chairlift up either to the top of the mountain or halfway up the mountain and then ride over to it, which for a terrain park does make it a lot slower because you kind of go through a terrain park in a matter of seconds. But all in all, it's got a great run selection and something for everybody. Now, the next thing that I want to touch on when it comes to Timberline is the lodging. The lodging at Timberline, I would say, is the best, maybe across any resort in the country that I've gone to, because you can get very good housing for a very affordable price, like all things considered, because normally if you tried to get a slopeside cabin at really any other resort that I've been to, there's only a very select few of other resorts that you can get like trailside accommodations for a somewhat affordable price. Normally you're either staying in like some little tiny condo, hotel-y room thing at the slopes for a moderately affordable price. Normally it's still ungodly, but at least like you can be there at the slopes walking distance, but it's outrageous. Or you're trying to get a cabin, but you're somewhere that's like driving distance, which, is fine. But, if the roads are bad or if you're trying to have a few drinks on the slopes, you can't really safely do that if you're driving 20-30 minutes away to your housing. So I would say Timberline, that is its biggest benefit, is that it has a bunch of trailside cabins. Me and my buddies, we did a house that was walking distance from the slopes, very affordable. We found it on Airbnb. Then if you want something like dirt cheap, you can stay in the town of Davis. They have a couple hotels there. Well, really, they have one hotel there that is moderately disgusting, but it is super cheap, like under $100 a night cheap, which once again, for housing at a resort, I think is a very, very, very good deal. We also, I did a couple overnight trips to Timberline last season. The other one I stayed at, I don't remember what the place was called, but it was like a new hotel that was right at the base of the mountain. So you did have to drive about 5 to 10 minutes to get there, but super nice accommodations for like a random hotel in the middle of West Virginia by the resort. And so we stayed there and were able to crash after a long day of riding, and that was a lot of fun as well and very affordable. Also, I think with that hotel, they even gave you discounted lift ticket rates if you booked it through the hotel. So once again, lodging, amazing. Next thing would be food selections. So at the resort, they have their like food hall, and it's pretty typical, resort food. It's just overpriced kind of cafeteria food, if we're being completely honest. But at least they got it easy to eat. I got pizza and chicken strips. It was fine. Normal cafeteria lodge food. If you're willing to venture out to the town of Davis, which is 20, 30 minutes away, it's the closest town to Timberline. They have a lot of kind of hidden gems. So there's a place called Hellbender's for burritos that I think is delicious. Very, very, friendly staff for how overrun the place is with people and tourists. There's also a place called Sawmill. It's a diner that's actually attached to the super cheap hotel I was talking about earlier. The best breakfast you'll ever eat. And it's so cheap, and the staff's super friendly. They're all like, at least every time I go there, I feel like I've seen the same few people working there for years since I was in college. They're all super chill, just good old country folk making you good old country breakfast. And then the last thing, just kind of other amenities and accommodations to note. Everybody at the resort, at least last season, seemed pretty friendly, kind. I will say, compared to other resorts, and definitely back in the day, it's got more of a corporate feel now. It doesn't have that mom and pop vibe anymore. It feels a little bit more corporate. Like they had the machines that you have to walk through to scan your day pass to get through. It's not something where they're scanning with a gun or just like looking at your ticket and waving you onto the lift. It definitely is a lot more corporate in that aspect. Also, they had a lady that would run around with like a megaphone telling you the lifts were closing and at what time, and it definitely has a much more buttoned up operation feel, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but it does not have the tucked away random resort you find feel anymore. Definitely is a little bit more corporatized. I don't even know if that's a word. The other thing I would mention, kind of completely unrelated to snowboarding or skiing, is driving in, at least for me, coming from Northern Virginia, you go down Route 48, and it might be the most beautiful drive for a random West Virginia resort. Oh, it's the best. It's like just rolling mountain hills. There's not a car in sight. It doesn't make sense. Like, I'll go out there on a Saturday, the resort's packed, but driving in, you'll see like 5 cars. The other thing I will say is, in comparison to other resorts, especially some of these West Virginia, Michigan, kind of Vermont, like these ones that are not in, kind of the more built up big Utah and Colorado resorts, a lot of them don't have cell service. And that does have some benefits. You can unplug from society. However, if you're riding with buddies, it makes it annoying when you lose them on the mountain. And so having great cell service, which Timberline does, makes the day of riding so much more easy to manage with friends. So that would be the other thing that I would just kind of give a shout out to Timberline. The cell service is very nice. But anyways, that is my full breakdown and review of Timberline. Now let's get to where it ranks. This season, I'm ranking all of the resorts, and I'm going to do it in 2 ways. I'm going to do it regionally. So for the Mid-Atlantic region, that's where the Timberline's going to fall into. I'll rank it, and then I'll rank it worldwide, because I don't think it's really fair to rank Timberline against like Vail or Winter Park or resorts out in Banff. That's not a fair comparison. So we're gonna do 2 ratings: the Mid-Atlantic, the regional rating, and then the worldwide rating. So my ranking of Timberline from a Mid-Atlantic standpoint is, I would put this one in A tier, which is pretty solid. Just below S tier. It is really just all around for the area in the Mid-Atlantic. It's about as good as you could really hope for. So if you're in the Mid-Atlantic region, definitely worth checking out Timberline. It's not quite worth, in my opinion, if you're outside of driving distance, getting a plane ticket and making a whole trip out to Timberline. No offense to Timberline, it's not that elite. If you're going to spend the money on a plane ticket, I would definitely recommend going out to Utah or Colorado or there's parts of Canada, probably not to West Virginia. But if you're in the Mid-Atlantic region, I would definitely recommend at least making a day trip or a weekend trip to Timberline. It's definitely worth it from that standpoint. Now let's rate it worldwide. Where would it fit into the equation? I would rank it at C tier, which is very good. Very, very, very good for a Mid-Atlantic resort. The reason it gets that high, and that is very high for a Mid-Atlantic resort, is because it has all the accommodations you could ever want, from housing to good food nearby. And the resort is definitely good enough. Once again, I don't think it's worth getting a plane ticket to come check out. But if you did, you would have access to great amenities from affordable housing, good food spots that are very fair priced, and fun, slopes to shred. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed this video and review of Timberline Mountain Resort. Please let me know in the comments what resort I should check out next and make a video reviewing. If you liked this shirt, every video this season, I'm giving away a piece of merch. So this is, a shirt that I made and designed. And so if you want this or any of my other designs, all you have to do is subscribe, comment on this video that you're looking for some swag, and then just screenshot it and slide into my DMs on Instagram, and I'll pick someone random every video to give a free piece of merch to. So with that said, peace out, y'all. And if you like this video, you might like these as well.